So in 4.3 we talked about the different measures of central tendency, and mean, median, and mode are supposed to be measures of where the middle of the data lies. Now the median is the actual middle term, but they're all measuring about where the middle of the data is. Variability is measuring how spread out the data is. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So when I say variability, think about how spread out is this data. Range is one way we can look at how spread out a data is, and to find the range, you take the largest value minus the smallest value, so the maximum minus the minimum. And the range, though, is easily affected by outliers. So if you have one value that's way higher or way lower than another, when you do the range, that you're going to be able to see that the data is really spread out. You could have all the data values around 10. Maybe you have 10, 10, 11, 12, 11, 12, 10, and then you have 100. Well, your range is going to look like you have a data that's spread out over 90 different numbers, when really they're mostly all around 10, and then there's this 100 that's throwing it off. So keep that in mind. Quartiles divide a data set into 4 equal parts, and when you think about that, it's like a quarter, so quarter, quartile. It's going to be about 25% of the data in each region, okay? So steps for finding the quartiles, you need to first order the data. I like to do it from least to greatest. Then to find quartile 2, you're really just finding the median. So we'll typically call it median, but you can also call it quartile 2 of the whole set. So use what we talked about in the previous lesson to find the median. Then you find the median of the lower half, and you find the median of the upper half. Quartile 1 is going to be the lower median, and that includes all the values below, but not including the median. So keep that in mind, okay? And the quartile 3 is the median of the upper half. Again, you count all the numbers above the median, not including the exact median that you chose. Remember, if there are 2 middle terms, 2 middle values, then you have to find the average of those 2, and this will be your median. We use quartiles to create a box and whisker plot, and a box and whisker is a graph that really shows how spread out the data is. It shows the distribution of the data. The box represents the middle half of the data. And think about that. We said quartiles breaks it up into like 25%. Well, the box represents the middle 50% of the data. And then the whiskers extend to the minimum and the maximum. So when you go to graph a box and whisker plot, you're going to find 5 key numbers. You need to find the minimum and the maximum, that's just the smallest and the largest number. Then you need to find the median of the whole data set. This is your median right here of the whole data set. Median is also your Q2. And then you find the lower quartile and the upper quartile's median. So first quartile and third quartile is the lower median and the higher median. So let's practice doing this. Remember, find those 5 values first before you graph the box and whisker. Example 1, the Animal Friends shelter takes in lost and abandoned animals and adopts them out to good homes. The adoption counselor recorded the number of animals they found homes for each month. In the past 8 months, here are their monthly adoption totals. And we're going to use this given data to create a box and whisker plot. So the first step, remember if we go back, step 1 is to order the values, then find the median. So let's put them in order first. I always like to do lowest to highest, and I like to cross them out as I go to make sure I have them all. So there was 13, then 14, then 18, 18 again, then 19, then 21, 21, and 25. So you need the 5 needed values. We need a minimum, a maximum, a Q1, a Q2, and a Q3. I like to give a key on the side where I write these numbers all together, but then I will also put them on your plot, okay? So the minimum value is 13, the maximum value is 25. To find Q2, to find your median, remember we count in from both sides. In this case, our median is going to be right here in between, right? 18 and 19, we have to find the average of those two. So the median is 18 plus 19 divided by 2. That's going to be my Q2. Or you can just know that that's going to be 18 and a half, right? The middle of 18 and 19 is the Q2. Now, because your median was not 18 or 19, you've got to keep those values on each half of the data when you find Q1 and Q3. Since our median was 18 and a half, we ignore that value, but everything less than that will help us find Q1. Everything more than that will help us find Q3. So to find Q1, you find the median of the numbers less than your median value. Cross them out. So our Q1 will be right in the middle of 14 and 18. Remember, you can find the average, 14 plus 18 divided by 2. Or you can, with integers, we can often just see the middle is going to be 16. Find your Q3. Again, the middle of the upper half now, so cancel out 1 on each side, and it's going to be the middle of 21. But the middle of 21 and 21 is just 21. Now we're ready to create our box and whisker plot. Now, some teachers teach you to put these numbers right on the box. Some teachers teach you to use a key on the side. As long as they're written there, it should be okay either way. I'm going to do this one with the key off to the side, and I'll do the next one with the box and whisker numbers right on top of the box and whisker. You should have a number line because that helps to show the data spread, and that's what a box and whisker does. It shows how the data values are spread out. So by having a number line underneath, it keeps like a constant scale or change happening, and that way it'll help us to make it proportional. So when you do this number line, you need to have showing 13 up to 25. I'm going to count by twos here, so maybe I'll do 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26. Perfect. So plot the points in a line above the number line, not actually on the number line. So 13, 16, and I would plot them right in a line. 18 and a half, 21, and 25. Then remember the three Qs, Q1, Q2, Q3, those are the box. So make a box from Q1 to Q3 and draw a line down where the median is. That's your Q2 right there. Then the whiskers go to your maximum and to your minimum. Again, because I have my key right over on the side, I think it's okay to not label those numbers on there. But if you don't have a key, you should label the numbers, and I will do that on the next one. There's your finished box and whisker. So we know that 25% of the data lies in each part of this. There's 25% of the data values here, 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 and here. It's pretty even, so it looks like the data is evenly spread out, and there's not a huge range. You know, most of the time Animal Friends would adopt out somewhere between 13 and 25 animals. It's a pretty close range. All right, let's try another one. Hurricanes and tropical storms form in all 7 ocean basins around the world. Use a box and whisker plot to compare the number of tropical storms with the number of hurricanes that occur in every ocean basin. So we're going to do 2 box and whiskers here, and we're going to have them compared on the same number line. And again, that number line is going to help us to really compare the differences between them. First step, order the data. So I'm going to do the storms up here. And let's put the data in order with the storms. I see 5, I see 7, I see 9, I see 10, and 10, and 17, and 26. And let's find those values. So remember, minimum is going to be the lowest. Maximum is going to be the highest. Q2 is going to be my middle value, so count in from both sides. Here, there's one middle value, so here's my Q2. Remember, you don't include that then when you're going to find the Q1 and the Q3. So I'll just look at these 3 terms for my Q1 and these 3 terms for my Q3. I leave Q2 out of it. So then 7 is going to be my Q1, because that's the middle term. And counting in 17 is going to be my Q3, because that's my middle term of the higher end. I'm ready to make that box and whisker, but before I do that, let's order the data for tropical storms, because we really need to know the highest and lowest value of both sets to decide how we number the number line. Sorry, I already did tropical storms, so we're doing hurricanes here. All right, hurricanes, we have 3, 3, 4, another 4, a 5, a 9, and a 16. Perfect, we got them all. All right, minimum and maximum. Like to label those first. Q2 is the middle term, so counting in. When there's an odd number of values, your Q2 will always be one of your data values. When there's an even number, your Q2 will always be in between two of your data values. So that's a good thing to look for and to check, and something you can expect. And then when I look at the lower end, here's my Q1, because that's the middle, or the median. And when I look at the higher end, my median is 9. That's my Q3. All right, so for my number line, the lowest value I see is 3. The highest value I see is 26. I got to go from 3 to 26 on this number line over here. I think I'm going to count maybe by 5s, but every other line. So like 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Good. All right, so let's do a box and whisker for each one, and this one will label the numbers right on. Storms, I have 5, 7, 9, oh, not 9, sorry, 10. So 5, 7, 10, and then 17, and then 26. Remember, the box is formed by the middle 3 points. And since we're going to do 2 box and whiskers, let's label each one with the title 2. So this is going to be my tropical storms. Draw a line for the median and wherever that is in the box, and then connect your whiskers. And then let's put the values right on here. So this is 5. My Q1 is 7. My Q2 is 10, 17, and 26. So here's another option for labeling if you don't do the key. All right, and then let's do one for the hurricanes. And the nice thing about putting these over a number line is then you can compare these two things to each other. You know, you can look for something that you can generalize about both at the end. All right, hurricanes, my minimum is 3. My Q1 is actually also 3. My Q2 is 4. So you can see these points are a lot closer together. My Q3 is 9, and my maximum is 16. All right, so we said the middle 3 points lead to your box. Well, my box would be from 3 to 9. So my box is actually going to be this one over to the 9. In this case, we're not going to have a whisker showing because the Q1 is your minimum. And then we'll connect just one whisker over here. So again, this is going to be my minimum and my Q1, and that's at 3. My Q2 is at 4, my Q3 is at 9, and my maximum is at 16. So after you graph these, you can look for a generalization that you can make. I would say here, it's obvious that tropical storms happen more often than hurricanes, and that there's more of a varied amount of them, whereas hurricanes have a smaller range, and they happen less often than tropical storms. Nice job.